Welcome to World of Warcraft DPS point of view. On this episode, I'll be using a level 90 mage. We'll be running Mogu'shan Vaults Raid Finder First Wing. Throughout the video, we will be skipping some of the fights leading up to the bosses. This is the first boss fight, the Stone Guardians. At the beginning of this boss fight, you have about 3 to 4 seconds to cast as many spells as you can, and as an arcane mage, it's a very good time to build up arcane charges. And as you saw there, somebody cast Heroism. I do not know why, but they did. And the purple blobs on the ground, if you stand in those do about 20k damage to you every second. And the ice shards that come out of the ground, if you stand in that radius, when they detonate, it will stun you, but you will still be able to cast. I make that mistake later on in this video. You will see that I get stunned, but I'm still casting. And you can see at the bottom there is a meter. When that meter fills, all players will be petrified. And right here you see that I get stunned by that ice, but I'm still casting. And if you want to know more about the meters and you're a tank, watch the tank perspective point of view that was posted by Roudrice on our channel. This is the end of the boss fight. Just wanted to show it to you. And that callback mine right there, that, as you can see, when it goes off, it will explode and do about 100k damage to all surrounding players, but the player with the callback mine only takes about half that damage. This is the second boss fight, Feng the Accursed. During this fight, Feng will walk over to these. There's 3 statues spread out around the ring, and each one grants him a different power. This grants him the power of Earth, and with this power he can use an ability called Epicenter. It will warn you when he uses it, so I suggest if you were a mage and have temporal shield that you use it. And as you see, he cast it right here, but I forgot entirely about temporal shield, so I didn't use it at all, and I was just taking tons of damage, and one of the healers got extremely mad at me. When Feng goes over to this guardian, he is the second one, and he grants him the power of fire. And this allows him to draw fire to his blade and slam it against the ground, which will send out waves of fire that do quite a bit of damage. And as he draws fire to his blade, you see the fireballs come from on the ground, and if they hit you while they're coming, they deal about 64k damage, to me at least. I'm not sure how much they'll do to tankier players with more armor. This is where Feng goes over to the third statue in the arena, which grants him the power of Arcane. And as you can see, he shoots out those bolts, which if you get closer to him, it does less damage to you. I did not actually know that, so I was taking a lot of damage. And then you see that people actually are casting arcane explosions, but that's not really them. That is something he puts on a player, and it does damage to all surrounding teammates. I just decided to show this. These are a few of the trash mobs leading up to the final boss, and they are Zandalari. And one of them, the Zandalari Skull Crusher, has an ability called Charge, and he will keep following you until the ability ends, and if he hits you, he knocks you back and it deals quite a bit of damage. And the Zandalari bombs on the ground do 64k damage, so be sure not to get. And this is the final boss, Rajal, the Spirit Finder. He is quite amazing, actually. He flies in on a pterodactyl, and then he lands, and he has quite a few abilities, actually. So I will quickly go over these. His main ability is Voodoo Doll. When he selects 5 random players to become Voodoo Dolls, and one of the tanks also becomes a Voodoo Doll, and however much damage that tank takes is also dispersed to the other players who are Voodoo Dolls, and you take about 25% of the damage that the tank took. And if the tank isn't careful, you can actually get most of your group to wipe just by doing that. And his other ability is Banishment, and as I said earlier, my friend made a point of view video for a tank, and he will probably, I'm assuming, explain Banishment in his video, because it is not something the other players have to worry about. It is only tanks. I also wanted to add that if you're an arcane mage, you probably don't want to use a lot of arcane blasts, because when you're a Voodoo Doll, I assume you use more mana, because while I was casting, I went from 300,000 mana to about 20k mana in 15 seconds in this boss fight, and I have to pop evocation to gain more mana, and you probably don't want to use that because it's one of your major cooldowns. I'm just gonna cut the video here because this boss fight just goes on like this for another 3 minutes and it's really quite boring. I was actually just button mashing my keys by the time this was done, and then I roll when I get an item, but I accidentally deleted that part of the video.